Good morning. Welcome to our fireside chat today. My name is Katharina Dalka. I'm the CEO and founder of StellarOne Strategy and Investment Advisory in Tech. And I have the great pleasure to welcome Ndeye today to join me in that fireside chat. Hello.
Hi, Katharina.
How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Please, for the people who don't know you, go and introduce yourself. Tell us what you're doing, what your company is doing.
Okay, I'm Ndeye, based in Dakar, Senegal. I'm the co-founder and managing partner of Brightmore Capital, which is an impact investment fund covering Francophone West Africa. And I'm working on all sectors, going from agribusiness to essential services such as education and health, while using technology as an enabler.
Great. Thank you very much for the introduction. So, yeah, we jumped on this fireside chat. We already had like a little bit of a preparation call where we, went through the topics that are really interesting for us today. And what I found far and foremost interesting is that you probably share a bit of your experience as a woman raising capital and also as an African raising capital. I found this really stunning what you, it's like, just go and share your experience. And I'm just jumping in.
Well, I've been working in the finance world all throughout my career, basically entrepreneur and finance. That's what I've done all my professional life. And so 3 years ago, I embarked on this adventure because I figured there was some missing gaps in the offers for SMEs at the time. And now we talk about startups too, in terms of their access to finance. At that time, if you were a company, a young company, you had very few options. Banks would ask for collaterals. The microfinance institutions were either inadapted or had very high interest rates. So there was a missing gap. And talking to people here and there at that time, we were not even aware of, this missing middle that we now know a lot of. But at the time, it was just, how do we get our part in this and offer an option? And that's how I got embarked into this with other people. And yeah, we're doing great. We're doing great strides. It's been tough this past year and a half, obviously, because of the crisis, which has slowed us down a little bit, but we've picked up the past 6 months and things are picking up and doing well again.
That's great. We've been sharing, like you and me, we've been discussing already a little bit. And I mean, you've been sharing the difficulties of having, let's put it like money conversations as a woman. I keep saying this in those fireside chats because I experience this over and over again. I think that on our side, since we are a female team, I think every once in a while we lose projects because of that, because we are women and we are perceived as less efficient when it comes to handling money, when it comes to negotiations. Literally all the money business, AKA, is not for us. And it seems like you've been having similar experiences.
Right. I mean, I think as a woman, I have a very strong personality, and I've struggled with that throughout my life as a professional woman. And I've heard, all kinds of things, like she's cocky sometimes. And
that's rude.
Yes. She just thinks she's a queen. I've heard it all, coming from men and from women. That's the interesting part.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But I think that the difficulty first starts even with us as women, with our counterparts when we work with them. We tend to take more on us when it comes to deliverables, for example, when we have our partners. And that put us in a tough place, because even when you work with the people you work with and you take on more, people tend to let it with you to take that part on until you can no longer do that. And then it creates a lot of frustration on both parts. That's one thing. The other thing is when you talk to people outside of your close circle, you know, being a woman talking about raising money, it's tough because the conversation sometimes is, okay, man, you're gonna have a hard time. Oh, I've heard from a senior banker here in the region who told me 3 years ago when I told him I'm in this, you know, raising a fund, doing impact. He told me, too bad you are a woman. If you were a man, I mean, you would really, really, really be successful in this.
That is so shameful, though.
Yes, yes. And this is coming from one of, you know, a very respected banker here. So, but he didn't say it like, oh, you're not going to make it. But it was like, it's going to be very hard for you because just because you are a woman, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be
probably true, though.
And I mean, he's right, because 3 years down the line, I see that I have to man up to what I do. You know, I have to be the tough woman. I have to be the one who doesn't have emotion, who doesn't show emotions. And even in my relationship with entrepreneurs, I've had entrepreneurs tell me, oh, I can see in your eyes that you are very emotional, but you hit it a lot. So, I mean, there is no barriers when it comes to us as women. People judge us and they tend to just they want to attach us to emotions. I mean, we're all human beings, of course. We do have emotions. Men have emotions. We have emotions. But why is it that it comes up in the conversation a lot when you are a professional woman? Like that emotion part always pops up, coming from all over, even when you don't expect it. So yes, I mean, it's a tough. And
when you're not emotional, you get called iceberg, like me. Like I get the feedback, oh, you're too hard, you're too irrational, you're not kind enough, you know, like,
yeah.
It's like,
you like a man. You like a man. They tell you that. Seriously. Are you like a man?
You can only get it wrong is absolutely crazy. And also, like, for a start, I actually don't like the precept that in business, you're not supposed to show emotions. I think that emotions are handled in the right way, they're a very useful management tool in the first place. So the whole narrative about don't use your emotions in business is actually, I don't buy into this. When I'm sitting in deals, negotiations, right? Like doing M&A and sitting in deal negotiations, and there is a buyer and then there's a seller. There's a lot of emotional stuff going on. It's absolutely not rational, and that you absolutely need to handle. So this whole narrative of don't use your emotions in business, for me, is nonsense.
Right.
But then the other way around, uping this as some sort of a negative thing and stigma and stick it to women. I thought we were past that, but apparently we're not.
And we lose ourselves when we get caught up into that. We lose ourselves as professionals when you tend to just brush it off and just say, no, I'm a strong person. I don't have emotions. I don't show emotions. You lose yourself. You lose your character. You know, I mean, I'm who I am. Like I can be very, quiet, very cold, or I can be very outgoing and just very compassionate. So it's a whole thing. I mean, it depends, just like for men. I mean, they are the same thing. Why do we accept them to tag us and to put names to everything that we do and make it such a bad thing? I mean, I think that it's for us women to accept ourselves as professionals and to not let anybody define us, whether for our weakness or for our strength. Just take us as we are.
Absolutely. And also own who you are. And that was like independently of who is in the room, I think that I can only speak from a personal perspective. Mm-hmm. Either people buy into my style of doing things and, reason about things and feel about things and manage things, or they don't. But like, I can't change who I am. And this is not the purpose of it. Like, I think that like in the first place, people, so I'm in a consulting business, a different business model to yours, but people pay me and or my team for who they are, what they bring to the table, and emotionally, and in terms of like intellectual input, and in terms of emotional input. And then like you can't just change that. Either it works or it doesn't, you know, and that's okay. It doesn't have to work all the time. You can walk out of a room and that's fine. You can walk off the negotiation table if it doesn't work out. That's absolutely okay.
Right.
Yeah, another thing that you said to me was that was actually really, you got a lot of blowback on you as an African raising money, as in African, aka less competent investor than, I don't know, European, US American, Asian, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. That's a tough subject and an emotional one.
Let's speak emotions. Let's do this. Come on.
Yes, it's a tough one and an emotional one. I'll just give you an anecdote. I mean, we had this potential LP that we've had phone conversation. This was pre-COVID. I mean, we used Zoom, but it was an audio call, so we didn't see each other's face. It was just like talking on the phone, and we had like a long chat. Then we met somewhere in the world, and when we met, he was frozen.
Why?
I think he didn't expect somebody like me. He expected somebody different. Maybe my voice made it sound like I was somebody else. And my partner was with me when that happened. He just said, "What's going on?" I said, "I don't know what's going on." He's like, "Why did he just froze?" I said, "I have no idea." And we had a very courteous chat. But that was one type of reaction that I've had amongst many, being a woman, being an African woman. It's doubly or triply harder.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, because they put a lot of unfairly hats on my face, on my name, on my origin. Where are you based? I'm based in Dakar. Oh, really? Why are you based in Dakar? Why aren't you in the US, or why aren't you in London or in Paris? How do you expect me to do what I'm doing right now with entrepreneurs that are very, very early stage and living outside of their,
That's what I was saying. Is like, it doesn't make much sense to me, because you guys are early stage investors, so you need to really have your feet on, like, even if you're not an early stage investor, like in my very humble opinion, you should be invested into what the company's doing.
Right.
Like, even in the early stages, like, you need to know the environment, the business environment. You need to know the culture. You need to know the business culture. You need to
I mean, I'll tell you, even for example, from this region. I'm from Senegal. Like Côte d'Ivoire, for example, where I am currently, is the biggest country economic-wise, GDP-wise in the region. But today, when I do deals in Côte d'Ivoire, I would rather have another co-investor here than do it myself, just because every country has its own specificities.
Of course.
And, it's better for me, despite the fact that I'm from here. So imagine, like, I was outside of this region, what type of deals I would attract, like what type of entrepreneurs I would get, because, you're not here, they know you're not here. So there is a way they present themselves when they know you're not here, and when they know that Ndeye is here and they hear stuff in here. She knows if I, did something in the past, or if I hear anything, I would pick up the phone and call and say, "Hey, how are you? Da, 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 da. I heard this." If I was in Paris or in London all the time, I wouldn't know that. There is no way somebody would be giving me this type of intelligence, because that's just, I don't know. It's just the proximity makes people closer to you and tell you things that if I were just dropping in here from time to time, they would not. you know, and that I know that because in my previous life, I've worked for a DFI, and the type of relationships that I had with people while I was working there, and today when I'm no longer with that DFI, has completely changed. Today, it's more real. It's like the real stuff. But when I was in the DFI, like the name tag, I guess, was here, DFI. So when they see me, everybody is just like, you know, very proper, very formal. People tell me just the nice stuff. Now I get the real stuff.
I know that it honestly doesn't make any sense to me, like any sense whatsoever, but okay. Then at the same time, in the investment world, a lot of things don't make sense. I mean,
right.
I have the pleasure to work with absolutely great investors that do an amazing job putting the reflection in and accompanying the company, etc. But then every once in a while, especially like on the chairwoman side, when we speak with investors every once in a while, I'm like, you know, this is like more from an operational perspective. I'm like, you don't know anything about my business. And you have like, I don't know, 200, 300, 500, 600 million under management, sorry. I'm just like, what the heck? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah. But hey, that's probably the finance world in general. There are a lot of things that don't make sense. I'm just like, I just feel so strongly about this, and I said this during the preparation call. I feel so strongly about those biases that you have to fight with as especially as an African and given like merely your ethnicity, which once again for me doesn't make any sense because you have the feet on the ground. And you actually see one-on-one what is happening. So that should be like a major advantage for any investor. So let me just get the message out there. This is a major advantage for any investor.
Oh, and then you get the other, you know, what I mean, for me, what's even more ironic is, yes, oh, why are you here? But then the ones that are out there call you and say, oh, why don't we're looking for somebody on the ground because, you know, we're over there and we want to do deals here, but we would love to have somebody like you with us on this, on these deals. So, I mean, it doesn't make sense if you're almost jeopardizing me because I'm here, but at the same time, you tell me that you need somebody like me to be here. I mean,
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Which brings us to another subject, which didn't make much sense just before we started this whole recording session, which is our experience in the boardroom. Fun times. At least we're laughing about it, but it's so sad.
Yes.
So before we jumped on this call, I was just telling you about a conversation that I had with somebody that went somewhere as the chairwoman that went somewhere between, I don't know, like, you have not been authorized to speak to me by a male counterpart. Literally, that was literally it. Like, this male person didn't authorize you to speak to me, so you're not supposed to speak to me too. Like, I don't know, dishonesty, and it navigated somewhere between dishonesty and misogyny. And I'm pretty sure that I would not have gotten this if I was a guy. Very sure.
Right. Absolutely.
And yeah, I still ask myself the question is, how can we change it once and for all? Because I mean, it's like, share your experience. You've shared similar experience with me just before the call, right? Like somebody who interrupted you all the time.
Yes. Very rude in the board. I'm a chairwoman on a committee, and we've had we had a board member replacement, who replaced a woman, and he's a male. And in his first board meeting, he just from the get-go, as soon as I started talking, he would cut me off, like continuously for about 15 minutes. Then I was like, okay, this is too much. And I had to just stop him and basically let him know that we had ways. If you have issues about this, let's talk about it here and vote for it, for the change in the procedures. But I thought that, again, I think the only way to change this is for us women to stand our ground. And here I would say to not let our emotions get in the way. Basically, we need to let our male counterparts accept us as we are and respect us. Fight for our ground, for not even the seat at the table. We already have the seat, or we will have the seats. The seats. But the issue is, yes, but the issue is, okay, you're not just gonna be a check in the box for them. Okay, we need a female in the boardroom and have that one female who's gonna be just there because she's a female. I don't want that. I want to be there because you really value me, my past experiences, my skills, my knowledge of a certain sector. That's my analytical skills or my network. Yes, for those things, but not because I'm a woman. And I think that, we have to work more towards that and not just accept any type of board membership and ask more questions, ask for more respect. But it's not going to be easy, because as soon as you start highlighting these things, yep, she's a woman. They complain too much. She's complaining too much. Even if they don't say it, it starts to come out. You can tell from the eyes of the other people. Oh, Lord, okay, there we go again, But we have to stand our ground when it comes to this.
You know what? I think you're right. I honestly, I came out of this discussion and I really didn't feel good about it. I've experienced a lot of heated situations in my career so far. Thankfully, I'm not that young anymore. So, I have a little bit of stamina and background, and I've negotiated a couple of deals. But to be very honest with you, when I get that amount of disrespect and this amount of just discrediting me because of my gender, I'm feeling it. It's like it's going deep down into my belly. I'm like, it doesn't feel good. And it's so tough. This, we said we would talk about trailblazing. It is trailblazing. This is a hard word. It is trailblazing, but it's tough work, really. And I also figured out that actually exchanging on the matter with other women is actually helping, because you feel less alone, because you can feel very, very, very alone.
Yes. And I think that's one thing where I think the Anglophone world did a much better job than the Francophone world. Because I think we as women in the Francophone world need to be more out there. When I mean out there is share more our struggles between ourselves. We don't do enough of it. We'll always say, oh, I'm busy, I'm this, I'm that. And we tend to share the struggles with the close ones, usually family and friends, which is not a bad thing. But also, I think it does help to share it with the people in your professional circle, because they might identify directly with your struggles and give you a different perspective, rather than a loved one or a family member who would just listen to you and maybe give you good advice or bad ones. But that person who does experience what you experience or similar ones, I think can relate more and can really make you, give you better advice. So I hope that in the coming years, women in the finance world in Francophone Africa would do more of that. I mean, I've heard our Nigerian counterparts, I know a lot of women working in funds in Nigeria. And they've told me, I mean, the struggle is real. It's all over the place. But what they do, they have a strong support system between them. And they meet up. Like one time one of them told me, like, they have this small boutique hotel that's like in their neighborhood. And what they do, even when it's like at 11, 12 p.m., they'll step out of their houses and go to that place and meet up for like 2 hours. And everybody is just doing blah, 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 and getting others' perspective at 1 a.m. in some hotel, because that's the only time of the week that they can afford to be together. But you need that. I mean, otherwise it can be very lonely. It feels lonely a lot sometimes. And the struggle is here, and it's real, and it's not going to stop. It's just going to get more and more, but not less.
Yeah, there's like the loneliness is really a tricky thing, because I remember when I started my company and I did it on my own, so I was all alone. I had an amazing support system of men around me that were very, very supportive of me, and I'm very grateful of that. However, I realized that very quickly that I'm doing business in a certain way, they're doing business in a different way. And as much as I could lean on their experiences to a certain extent and actually take from their, go-getter attitude, etc., there was a part of me that was like, I can't relate because I'm not like these people. And I realized that this part of me, this business part of me, was very lonely. And I realized that I needed to speak more about my journey with women, exchange more. And it was like, I mean, I'm living in an Anglo-Saxon environment, but even here, I'm more like, I need to speak more about what I'm experiencing, the struggles that I'm experiencing, the discrimination that I'm experiencing on a daily, to other women, because you just need to get, first of all, you need to get that weight off your chest to be performing, because you need to perform on a daily. And then second of all, also find good ways to work around it, like in a constructive way. It's just very helpful.
Yeah.
So we've been speaking a lot about struggles, but let's get into some like positive plays. Maybe tell us a little bit more about like your current projects that you have going on, where you stand with your firm, etc. That would be great.
Yes. So we just launched our pilot fund last month. Yay! Yes, so we're gonna deploy funds finally in the coming months in a couple of companies in different sectors. Some of them are tech, others non-tech, and so we're gonna be busy doing that. We're hiring someone, and we will basically, check our investment thesis and really work hard and make sure that next year, this time, we would have some portfolio that really talks about the story we want to tell to the world about what we're doing here on the ground.
I can't wait. Maybe a short update from our side too. So it's been our second anniversary recently. So it's been, I know. Like I founded the company in August 2019, and then like 6 months later, COVID hit.
Wow.
Great. So I'm happy we thrive and grow. So we're a team of 4 people now, with a couple of independent advisors around on top, especially for the African continent, because once again, we need people on the ground to be able to advise investors and tech companies in Africa. We are launching an offering for financial institutions and public institutions in Africa to help them better collaborate with startups, because there's a huge gap between those big institutions and, the small startups. And it's just, it's a buoyant market. So there's everything to do. So we are launching this offering and starting to promote it soon.
Okay, nice.
I'm just waiting to get the marketing ready, and then we push it on the market. And we definitely, so at the moment, we're obviously very active in Europe, and we definitely want to expand our business in Africa. So in Africa, on the African continent. So we are very much looking forward to this.
Yes, that's good. Great news. Like, despite the fact that COVID is still here, but things seems to be slowly, but surely right now. Yeah. So I mean, we just cross our fingers and make sure and hope that and pray that it will, get better in the coming months and in 2022.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming to an end of our fireside chat. Thank you so much for your time, for your input. It was an absolute pleasure. And all the best.
Thank you, Katarina.